Guys, Jennie with On Fire Fit, and welcome to another episode of Shoe Review and Hosiery Review. I'm going to be talking about changing our state of mind, and that is a little bit of a deep topic, but something that I love. But first, let's look at the shoes and the hosiery. I will do a review at the end, but I thought I would start at least with the unboxing and try them on. Then I'll talk to you and we'll do a runway and a shoe review. So this brand, I'm already moving on too fast, is Only Maker, is at least what the box says. And I will see if I can find these online to try to link below. This pair of heels as well as the hosiery were sent by a viewer for me to review. We have each shoe in an individual sleeve, which is always nice. And this is going to be a clear pair, transparent. This pair has a metallic heel. So that is going to make it a little different than the other transparent pair that I have. So that is the shoe, and being transparent, of course, I did a whole talk in the other transparent shoes about that topic, but I do think that this will still pertain in a little different way to what I'm going to talk about. So stick around. I hope that you listen to the message. Whenever you comment on my message, you make my day. So don't leave me and fast forward. Let's talk. Hopefully we can have a little bit of fun with heels and all of the fun that goes with that, but also a little bit of depth, because I think it's always good for us to have a little combo of both. Okay. All right, let's go. Okay, I kind of misspoke in the intro saying that I was going to talk about state of mind, when really it is our state in general. And when I say that, it reminds me of Tony Robbins. Now, if any of you are familiar with Tony Robbins as one of those motivational leaders, and he's done a lot to really get people moving, doing, acting, and not just thinking, but actually implementing what they learn. And I think that that is an incredibly important piece in our journey. Much of our time tends to be spent either completely distracted and in denial about things that will improve our lives or move us in a healthier direction, or we spend a great deal of time planning, perhaps writing, saying we're going to do this or that, and then we never actually do it. And there's a bunch of reasons why that happens. We can have distraction and denial can be its own set of issues that tries to keep us from doing the best thing, because truth be told, it is easier to slide down the slippery slope than it is to build muscle. We all know that when you get nice and relaxed, that is a very easy state to be in. And working towards something requires some muscle, whether it's physical or mental. And so clearly, we're not always going to be excited about the idea or the prospect of making change, because we know that there's work involved. I was thinking about some of the things that I have had that are maybe negative habits or things that aren't necessarily bad, but they're not the best, or they're not there are things that are sort of holding me back from the best life. And I noticed that as soon as I say, well, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm going to stop doing that, I quickly find some other replacement that acts as a distraction, a deterrent, or allows me to just write all about what I'm going to do, but never actually do it. And I thought about that as I was journaling and I was praying and I was reading in the Bible and just sort of like taking inventory. And it occurred to me that it kind of goes back to what Tony Robbins talks about, is changing your state. So we all live lives full of emotions, and we all live lives where things are up and down, right? Anxiety, stress, boredom, all the different things that come in and out of our lives. This is going to always be the case. We know that. But more often than not, we try to change our state to bring us back to peace, to homeostasis, to center. And when we are not having all of those positive, happy emotions, we usually are trying to change our state. A lot of the things that we use to change our state are temporary, quick fix, give us a quick bam, I feel better for the moment. And unfortunately, most of those things in the long run serve to make us more anxious, make us more stressed, make us more overwhelmed, or whatever. It doesn't deal with the issue, it just kicks the can down the road. And we could put all different kinds of things in that blank. What do you use to change your state when you're anxious, when you're bored, when you're overwhelmed, when you're scared, fearful? What do you use? It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be food, it could be social media distraction, it could be zoning out on binging on Netflix or whatever. My question is, are those things bad? Some of them clearly are. Some of them are sort of neutral, like, being on social media isn't a bad thing. Being on social media 20 times an hour probably is not the best thing. But not all these things are inherently bad, right? So, but if we use them in different ways to try to help us change our state, it can be a sort of a self-defeating process, because we learn that, it really didn't fill me. Like in that moment it did, but I just need more, and I still feel like I'm not healthier. I'm not healthier in my mind. I'm not healthier in my body, or whatever. So I was thinking about this and I'm like, gosh, I talk about habits a lot. I talk about my journey a lot. I've gone through various types of, I'm in a not, I'm off of alcohol and stuff, not because I have a problem with it, but because I do have a problem with it. However you want to define it, I have noticed that no good comes from it in my life. Like, I don't feel better. I notice that I think I grind my teeth more at night, which contributes to the jaw tension. I notice that I go into more of a way distracted mode and just putting things off to another day. And even though I can take it or leave it, I just figured, I really want to live the best life, and it's not serving me. And so to me, it's just easier and better for me to just leave it behind. However, sneaky little things that come in place of it. So instead, then I get distracted by just watching movies or, zoning out on YouTube videos or watching a million shorts on videos because they're so entertaining. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying that you have to stop doing all of those things. And we all need to relax. Heaven knows that most of the people in my life tell me you are the least lazy person. However, everything in moderation, right? And so when I notice that I am just inserting a different thing into that place to try to change my state, and it's really not making me feel better, then I go, okay, there's a time and a place for these relaxing types of activities. But if I'm going to change my state, I need to find something that lasts. It is not a temporary thing. I can't tell you how many movies I have watched, and at the end I go, I can't get those 2 hours back. I just am like, oh, save it for the good ones, save it for the good movies, whatever. But I noticed, if I am anything like you, we tend to try to change our state, and we chase after things that just are, in the long run, emptier. There are a lot of beautiful things that I believe God has given us to be able to relax and enjoy and have a great life. And enjoying high heels is not a bad thing. If this is my life and I fell apart because my house burned down or whatever, then that's a problem. So the things in and of themselves, for the most part, there are a few things like drugs or whatever, but for the most part, these things are not inherently bad. However, we always tend to go way too far one way or the other, it seems. And so I have noticed lately that I wanted to change my state to bring it to peace, whatever else is going on in my life, through the only source that I know has ever given me lasting peace. And I tell you all the time that we're all on our own journey in life, spiritual and otherwise. And I don't intend to ram things down anybody's throat. However, I just talk about what I have found in my life. And as I have gone through a period of time where I was really struggling and felt really lost and kind of reevaluating my life years ago, and I just really decided, I need to start my morning. I've talked about this so many times, so if you're new, you won't know about this, but if you are my tried and true tribe, then I've talked about this plenty of times. But I decided, I'm going to spend the first half hour of every morning when I get up with God. And it changed everything. It's what launched On Fire Fit. It's what changed my perspective on so many things. It changed my state. And I didn't start off my days floundering. There's very little that is more disruptive to life than starting off your day floundering. When I woke up at the same time that my babies woke up, granted, we all go through seasons and sometimes you're just surviving, but those days were not very peaceful. And, as they got older, I kind of made excuses for a long time. And really, it didn't require very much effort to get up a half hour before them. But it changed everything for my day. And I'm noticing that for my evenings, where I tend to go into gel out mode for hours on end. And again, this is not a legalistic thing. I was sending a message to a friend of mine about legalism, and that's a big, that flares up something inside of me, really like hot topic all the time, because I don't ever want anything that I say or how I live to be legalistic. Legalism is basically saying you have to do XYZ. And if you're in the Christian circle, it's you have to do these things in order to get favor with God, or you have to do these things in order for God to love you, or you have to do these things in order for you to go to the next level, or whatever. And when you start putting man-made rules on people that God did not say, we end up in what we call legalism. So you are basically creating a set of rules that puts this big barrier between people and God, saying you have to do all these things and then God will do. And there are a lot of examples in the Bible where people did certain things that really helped improve their lives and made their lives better because they prayed and fasted and but those things were not requirements for salvation. They were not requirements that God had for them to have him love them or any of that. And a lot of times we really twist things by giving people a set of rules. So if I feel led that I am going to do 30 minutes in the morning, that is not a rule. That is not something that was, if you don't do this, these bad things are going to happen, or if you don't do this, you're not going to be loved by God. None of that. But when you're led towards something that's healthy and you sense that this is going to be better for you, it can enhance your relationship with God. And that's what I noticed. It was me turning to God and saying, I am going to focus on you because I know that's what I need. But it wasn't to try to get his favor or approval or earn my way to heaven or something like that. So when I talk about all of these healing habits and the things that I find that help me, I really hesitate to make it sound like you need to do this too, because I think we all have a voice from God that leads us, and sometimes we're at a different point in our journey than other people, and that because of that, we can't put our rules on somebody else. However, for me, I am noticing more and more, that when I need to change my state, when I am feeling whatever way, I don't want to turn to stuff that leaves me more empty. And I have to just get more intentional and in the habit of saying, okay, God, where are you? What do you want? What are you thinking? And just have more of a conversation with God, have more of a focus, because he always says that if we turn to him, he will always be there. But, he does not cram anything down on us. He never forces himself. So if you don't want to hear him, he's not going to, pound you down. So I love, though, that we can change our state and have peace even when things are not seemingly going well. And it has everything to do with our perspective. So I'm going to be spending time really honing on that skill and being even more alert to the things that really feed me. And that, I think, is very incredible, because the thing that happens is you get really excited rather than feeling like, oh, I have to do this, this, and this. It's like, I get to do this because out of the joy that I have, even in the little bit of experience that I have had in my past with just starting my day, with God and not whatnot, then I know how much that transformed me. So I know that the Spirit just keeps transforming us if we are willing. And it's exciting. It makes it really fun and exciting because you're expectant. And my Pastor Jim friend always, he said this to me recently, but he says that's one of the things about you is you're very expectant. And that made me happy. He always speaks life. That's the other thing we have to be very careful of, is that we are aligning ourselves with people that speak life to us. Sometimes there may be some conviction. I always try to keep, a humble heart about that, but they will speak life. And life means that sometimes there's some course correction. Sometimes there's, words of knowledge that you just wouldn't have known. And it kind of like, oh yeah. But even him just saying, you've always been expectant, I thought that makes me feel excited. And so I can change my state based on my expectation that I know God is going to fill that void, that need, that change that needs to happen in me. I picked this shoe partly because it is a kind of a chameleon shoe, right? It goes with whatever you are wearing. It basically is transformed and it highlights what you're wearing. And I was thinking about how when we are embedded in negative junk or things that are not feeding us, how easy it is to just kind of keep going downward when you were surrounded by the healthier things and the things that really last and make you feel nourished, whether it's physically or spiritually or whatnot. When you have that, it transforms you and keeps moving you up in your spirit and your mind and everything. And so I want to encourage you that if you notice that you use substitutes that are maybe not really meeting your needs in those moments when you're having those kinds of emotions, consider maybe a different route, a different way. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I am excited to see, where God leads that and what is in store, and expectant. I'm very expectant. So I'm excited about that. All right. Father, you are amazing. Thank you for transforming us, and that you make it exciting, that it's not a drudgery and it's not a bunch of rules, but it is your spirit that just leads us forth in love, and that we get to have beautiful connections with people, that we have the ability to be transformed every day in our mind, our body, our spirit. And that if we are double-minded, we're thinking and doing two different things, that you help bring that together into a beautiful cohesiveness, and that we can change our state into more peace and joy and things that really last. So thank you for that. I thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's go take a shoe review, hosiery review, and a walk down in my kitchen. All right, let us review the shoes and the hosiery. But first, yes, if you notice that my flooring is different, that is a long story. I loved my old floor, so please don't make me feel bad by saying you miss my old floor. I miss my old floor too. However, we had to move on because the other room that needed replacement of carpet, the carpet was in the dining room, living room, and I'm not a big fan of carpet under dining room tables, although people have done it forever, but I prefer not to have carpet under my dining room table. Maybe an area rug or something that you can toss. But anyway, long story short, to try to keep one cohesive look throughout the downstairs, we had to replace that floor. So join me in welcoming our new floor. Okay, so the shoes are only maker, as I said, and this is a 37. The heel is kind of a metallic, you can see that, and transparent so that even the toe is open. You know, there are some transparent shoes where this is completely closed in. It's more comfortable when it's open here, in my opinion. This actually has some little air vents, which is probably wise because I'm guessing it could get pretty hot and maybe even fog up your shoe. I don't know. I don't know if that happens, but so these are fitting me really well. 37 seems to be a good size for me. Somebody had pointed out in one of my prior videos about this ultra pointed toe and that it doesn't work for everybody. I have more even toes, so it tends to, I guess, cut correctly, or I don't know that there's correct or incorrect, but it just, the way that it fits my foot seems to work fine with a point. So I'm not sure if you have a different like lengths of toes, if you will do as well with a pointy toe. So, you know, you can let me know. This pair of hosiery is by Geo, and it is a reinforced heel and toe nylon stocking in 15 denier. And I have gotten so much education about hosiery as of late from various sources, but I was very unaware of full fashioned hosiery. I have always loved back seam hosiery, but I was unfamiliar with this whole line of hosiery. And so these stockings are really beautiful, made of nylon. This is not an advertisement, but I'm just letting you know that this is the type of hosiery that I tend to have, at least in stockings. So they even say on here, Geo Authentic 1950s hosiery is handcrafted in England on one of the last remaining machines in the world. Looks sensational in Geo classic nylon stockings. And this is, you know, one of those things where they are more expensive, but they have like that nylon is a beautiful quality. It feels really nice. The light denier, the 15 denier, is a nice, you know, not super deep, dark on your body. A lot of people that know hosiery already know all of these things, but I have found out as of late. So if you're not already educated, I guess, you know, here I am trying to educate you on something that I'm just learning myself. But the reinforced heel and toe, I think, is really pretty. It's a nice, classy look. And I think that it's very uncommon nowadays, not only for people to wear hosiery or stockings, but this whole, the contrasting, and the people have made comments about RHT. So if you are unfamiliar, that's the reinforced heel and toe. And I don't know if you're like me, but I love learning about topics and understanding things. And so all of this stuff was very foreign to me, like another language. And it's very pleasantly classy, beautiful, kind of like ultra feminine, in my opinion. So I'm really enjoying wearing these full fashion hosiery. And you know, I don't know, not everybody is into super feminine style. I am. I love old fashioned. I love old school type of things. I like, you know, things that are more subtle. Well, this I don't know if I would call it subtle, but I think that when you show too much, sometimes it doesn't leave as much mystery. And not that I'm trying to be mysterious, but I just think there's so much beauty in the aesthetics of things. And I love how this kind of thing kind of brings back that feminine, you know, the mystery of being a woman. And just as much as I love the mystery of what makes people who they are, what makes men who they are. In fact, this is a whole nother topic, but my daughter and I were talking about how men have not had the support that they need in a lot of ways. And so I think that, you know, a lot of this stuff is just kind of going back to our old school roots of, you know, who we are and beautiful things about us. So I think it's a very fun thing to find out more about. So let's go take a little runway.